Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Sahara Omar. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing here in the state of Texas. And today's video, I wanted to start a new series with you guys on breaking down the different types of self-care. This is a common word that people use on social media level all the time, but there are nuance to the different types of self-care. There is a physical level of self-care, which is this what we're going to talk about today. There is a psychological and emotional level of self-care. There's a spiritual level of self-care, and also there is a relationally oriented type of self-care, okay? So when we talk about self-care, first is taking care of yourself, right? Like showing up the best version of yourself, mentally, emotionally, physically, psychologically, and also spiritually and even relationally with people. And I chose to start with you guys talking through a little bit more on a physical level because the body is essential for our choices in general, right? So the biggest piece of our interaction as humans with reality is going to be our physical health first. And sometimes we also have to recognize we can start with the physical health and work through our mental health and then eventually challenge any spiritual health. And you can also do a top-down processing where you start with spiritual, work on your mental, and then work on your physical. One couple of things that I want to remind you as individuals, and also I remind all of my clients, is we can't tackle everything at once. We're human, right? So we do need baby steps, small processes that can help us achieve to that leap of the final destination. So I usually say we have to be very strategic with the choices that we're making on a daily basis as we are becoming more self-aware, okay? Now, so just be kind to yourself, essentially. That's what I'm saying here. Now, with physical health, we have to address a couple of areas, right? So first, the biggest struggle that I see with all of my clients is sleep hygiene, right? Sometimes people sleep in their couch instead of their bed, for example, or sometimes they will not brush their teeth and take care of their normal hygiene, like physical hygiene, before they go to bed. I highly recommend a couple of things to be aware of when it comes down to your sleep. First, you have to have a consistent bedtime. I made a video on how to create a routine and a schedule for yourself. I highly recommend go back and look at that. But typically the biggest struggle that I see with all of my clients is they go to bed anytime they want. Sometimes they go to bed at 10 o'clock. Sometimes they go to bed at 1 o'clock. That's inconsistency. You want to pick one time and actually stick to it. And once you pick that time, you have to also allow yourself 2 hours before your bedtime to deny yourself from any technology. A lot of times people don't understand how these technologies are using LED lights that mimic sunlight, so your brain assumes it's still daytime, so your brain never rests before you go to bed. So good, healthy substitute would be read a book or solve a puzzle or do something with your hands that are not related to technology, minimum 2 hours before your bedtime. And also find ways to make your bedroom area comfortable for yourself. Now, I know this is a privileged statement because not everybody has the luxury of sleeping in their own bed, but just do the best that you can until you get the opportunity to get your own space, right? So things like, for example, keep your room cool because sometimes the body is running hot when we're sleeping. If you're running hot naturally, see if you can make your room a little bit more warmer for yourself, like get that extra blanket. Also, the lighting is another issue that some of my clients kind of complain about is should I be sleeping in a dark room? Should I be sleeping in a completely lit room? And I usually say mid-light is usually good because it's like a relaxing state. Sometimes people like that noise canceling headphones to be on their head. I don't know how comfortable that is, but try it. Also, white noise is another thing that a lot of people give me feedback on, like I have to have a noise before I can sleep. The problem with that sometimes with the feedback that I also see with some of my clients is the noise can trigger the brain to stay on alert. So you're not truly resting at the core. Some people report that they are able to rest with the noise, but majority of my clients, people that struggle with anxiety specifically, their brain is already not knowing how to turn itself off, so another noise can also keep you up. So I always say try both and see which one you get more sleep off of as well too. But those are the things that I highly recommend. And C usually is make sure that you pick a specific time that you stick to, 2 hours before your bedtime. Make sure that you are denying yourself from any technology and get your room to be a comfortable space, and see if you can even eventually enhance that space by, or even enhance that routine of sleep routine by making sure that you do like physical self-care, right? In the sense of like wash your face, brush your teeth, and make sure that you get into a comfortable clothing before you go to bed as well. Okay, so that's one part of our self-care. It's sleep hygiene. The next part of our self-care is going to be movement, exercise, right? So our body, I remind this to all of my clients, we are not designed to sit still all day long. Our body is naturally designed to move. That's why we have joints and we have different parts of our body that connects to itself and moves, right? So on average, what I recommend typically is when you wake up in the morning, do 5 to 10 minute stretches in the morning, just to get the blood flowing and your body knows like I'm here, I'm awake, I'm connected to reality, right? And also with physical movement in general or exercises, what we recommend, and we see this in the literature, is we do need 30 minutes of some sort of workout daily, right? So sometimes some clients would say, I can't do every 30 minutes every single day. So then I would say, okay, combine them, right? So you can do 1 hour sessions anywhere from 2 to 4 days a week, right? Typically, we don't want to overstress. I have clients that work out 7 days a week. That's not good either, because we do need that rest, right? So remember, the ultimate goal in this life is to learn how to be balanced, how to be in the middle, right? Doing too much of something is not good. Doing not enough of something is also not good enough, right? So we do need to find that healthy middle space. So every single day, 7 days a week, 2 hour sessions, that's extreme exhaustion for the body. You're producing too much cortisol. So on average, we do want to have at least 1 or 2 days that we're resting if you are combining them for longer sessions. But what we typically recommend is 30 minutes of some sort of activity per day. Okay. Now, those activities can be something simple as walking, making sure that you're doing like weight training, like using weights, dumbbells and stuff like that. And also not being afraid of building muscles in general. As women in general, what I see with my female clients, there's this whole stigma culturally. I don't want to build muscles. I don't want to look masculine. I don't want to be bulky. There is a limit to it as well too, right? So we don't want to overdo it, but we don't want to be also afraid of not building muscles, because what we see, people when they are up in age, like around 60s and 70s, that's when they start to fall. Gravity is always going to win, unfortunately. That falling and breaking hips and knee surgeries and all of that comes from not actually building muscle. So this is where building muscle should be a priority, even as females, especially my female clients are the one that push against that concept a lot. But yeah, we want to kind of challenge ourselves to build muscles and be strong in our core, so that way when we are aging, we're aging gracefully as well. Okay, so that's another component of self-care when it comes down to our physical health. And then the last component is going to be nutrition and hydration, right? So this is an ongoing struggle with some of my clients, specifically the ones that struggle with eating disorders. Like what is eating healthy looks like, how much should I be eating, right? On average with eating, the numbers that we give is we need minimum 1 meal a day, no more than 5 meals a day. 1 to 5 is a good number, and if you can break it into small meals, go for it. I usually say match your level of activity as well too. So if you typically have a sedentary job and you're only doing 30 minutes of some sort of activity per day, you don't typically need 5 meals, right? And so kind of use a little bit more wisdom there and recognize how much you can consume. There's an analogy that I like to give to all of my clients. I usually say, just keep thinking your body is like a car, and the food that you are consuming is like gas, right? We don't want to put too much gas in the car if you're not using the car, right? And if you are using the car, then yes, you do need gas. So just keep kind of viewing your body from that perspective. It gets easier to only eat what you are matching your level of activity, which is the calories that you're burning. Okay. And also with just eating in general, we do live in a culture here in America where everything is processed and packaged and fast to grab. And we're kind of losing, in a way, the sense of making something from scratch and being creative and actually using your hands. So I'm a big proponent and a big advocate of make your own meals. Try to avoid going out consistently. On average, I personally only go out once or twice a month. I challenge myself to make meals and meal prep and just eat natural, healthy food as well too. So the balanced meal will be typically meats and vegetables and fruits, and also being mindful when you're eating, right? Like be present with your plate. Like watch how much food is left in your plate, how the food tastes, and be present instead of just scrolling on your phone or watching movies. A lot of times when I work with clients, especially with families, they don't have healthy habits around eating. Sometimes they eat food in the couch and watching a movie instead of sitting in a dining room and having no technology and actually having conversations with your kids, so that way they are growing and you're connecting with them as well too. So challenging yourselves in a way where you become a little bit more mindful with your eating habit. Even if you live alone and you don't have a family, still challenge yourself to sit in a dining room area. And if you have that luxury, again, it's a privilege, right? I have to remind myself of that. But if you have that access to a dining room area, or even like an island in your kitchen area, make sure that you're sitting down and eating without technology being interrupted in your space. And then hydration is another thing, right? So we do want to make sure that we're drinking water outside of just eating healthy. On average, we do need anywhere from 6 to 8 glasses of water daily. Sometimes the biggest struggle that I see with all of my clients, and I personally struggle with this as well, is the taste of water itself. It's too bland personally, and that's what the feedback is. Like sometimes people say the texture of it is awful at times. So definitely I recommend make sure that you use filtered water if you can. That could sometimes change the taste of it. But also infuse your water with fruits and different flavors as well too, just to make it a little bit more exciting. And as long as you are focused on just eating healthy, naturally grown food and drinking water, typically your nutrition and hydration will be on point there. And making sure that you're being mindful of what you're eating and be present with your food and not just overeating to numb anything internally, which we'll talk more about that self-care when it comes down to our mental health next video. Okay, those are the 3 areas that we usually focus on when we talk about self-care on a physical level. In the next video, I'll talk to you guys about more self-care on a mental health level. Alrighty. I hope you guys liked the video. Feel free to hit that thumbs up. Leave me a comment if there's anything that I missed out on or you want to share with the community here. And also feel free to share these videos with your colleagues and friends and family members, so that way we can grow this community and hopefully people are learning and changing and healing in their journeys as well. Alrighty, I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.